The close-knit town of San Angelo, Texas is in disbelief when Staff Sergeant Michael Severance goes missing.
It was inconceivable that Mike could have just disappeared into thin air.
You don't know what to think. Well, this can't be real.
And making this even more shocking, it appears something sinister is behind the airman's disappearance.
We were no longer dealing with a simple missing persons case. It was much more than that.
I was like everybody else in San Angelo, horrified.
And as investigators dig for the truth, they'll uncover a saga of treachery and passion bigger than the state of Texas.
We lost a son, a brother, and in our eyes, a hero.
How well do you know your neighbors? What lies behind the white picket fences? Southwest of Abilene, the endless empty landscape of West Texas stretches for nearly 100 miles before the town of San Angelo rises like an oasis.
It's fairly isolated. It's not on the road to many places. If you go west of San Angelo, you're just going to get into mesquite desert and oil field.
It's kind of a slow-paced town. It's small enough where people know each other.
Although the population out here is growing, the people of San Angelo strive to maintain their strong support of the many family-owned businesses and laid-back atmosphere that help keep its old-world Texas charm.
It's a very pretty town. Trees, rivers, parks. It's just not a flamboyant town. You have that rugged individualism.
People in San Angelo have a lot of West Texas pride. It may take people a little while to warm up to you when you move there, but after a while, the people settle in pretty well.
In November 2004, settling in is just what 24-year-old newlywed and new father Mike Severance is trying to do. Originally from Maine, the staff sergeant has spent the last 4 years based up the road at Dyess Air Force Base in Abilene.
I think the culture, I think it just fit his personality. He learned how to line dance and two-step and just fell in love with the area and the people.
Mike's bride, 25-year-old Wendy Mae Davidson, is a local girl.
What attracted Mike was that she was smart, she was fun. They enjoyed going out dancing and having a good time.
Wendy is also starting a promising career as a veterinarian, opening a clinic in her hometown.
Wendy was an impressive young woman. She graduated from Texas A&M, a very prestigious school. Her family was from San Angelo. She had deep roots in San Angelo.
The young family lives in a small apartment adjacent to Wendy's practice downtown. Although the 100-mile commute back and forth to base in Abilene is hard on Mike, the airman is determined to make it work. And as the couple begins building their life together, they seem poised for success.
Mike and Wendy were the American dream. They had their whole future ahead.
With the marriage, a new baby, and business, 2004 has been a whirlwind year for the newlyweds. So at Christmas, Mike puts in for leave.
So what's Maine like?
Well, it's a lot colder than it is here, that's for sure. But
And the family plans a vacation to Maine in mid-January to see Mike's folks and introduce them to their new grandson.
gonna see snow for the first time.
Mike and Wendy had bought airplane tickets and the trip was set. Wendy had never been out of the state of Texas. They were really pumped up about going.
Yeah, you guys are gonna love it.
Mike was very excited to show them where he grew up. My family had set up a little wedding reception for him. We wanted to welcome Wendy into our family.
But in the early hours of Sunday, January 16th, the day that Mike and Wendy are supposed to fly to Maine, something goes horribly wrong.
Oh, I can't find Mike anywhere.
Wendy had called, said they weren't going to make the flight,
I have no idea where he would have gone.
that Mike was missing.
I thought maybe he would be with you guys in Maine.
Mike's family is confused by the early morning phone call.
You just need to calm down, Wendy.
Wendy walks through the last 36 hours. claiming that on Friday night, she and Mike had gone out.
We had a date night, and then
She said that they went out to the bar across the street, had a few drinks and danced a little bit and had a good time.
They got home late, and Wendy let Mike sleep in Saturday morning. He finally got up around noon, and she saw him in their veterinary clinic around 3 p.m.
it was the early afternoon, and that was the last time that I saw him.
She didn't know where he was, but I wasn't that worried about him being missing. I figured he'd call in a few hours, but we were disappointed he wasn't coming home.
We're gonna find
Mike's family figures that the young couple probably just had an argument.
I'm freaking out. I have no idea where he went.
I had told her, I said, he'll turn up. He probably drove to Abilene and was just cooling down a bit.
But when they learn that his truck is still outside, alarm bells go off.
Michael's pickup was at the clinic, so he obviously didn't leave in it. And if he left, how did he leave?
The Severances tell Wendy to file a missing persons report with the local police department. And while Wendy contacts the authorities,
Highest Air Force Base.
Mike's family calls his commanding
I'm
officer.
looking to get in touch with my son, Staff Sergeant Michael Severance. We haven't seen him in a little while, and we're just trying to check in on him, make sure everything's okay.
No, sir. It doesn't look like he's checked in.
But Mike isn't there either.
Yes, have a good day, sir.
And as far as the Air Force is concerned, he's on leave, so there isn't anything more they can do.
We figured, yeah, maybe he was at somebody else's house that we didn't know, because he had a lot of friends that we didn't know about, away from the base.
48 hours later, there's still no word from Mike.
We started getting concerned then and worried then that something happened because everything pointed in the very wrong direction of Mike's character.
They knew this wasn't Mike. They knew Mike didn't disappear.
Local authorities open an investigation. Part of the team searching for Mike is 12-year veteran of the Texas Rangers, Major Sean Palmer.
Officers and investigators with the police department began doing interviews and taking statements from Wendy.
At the police station, she tells detectives that Mike hadn't been himself lately.
He just started getting mad at me, just going out a lot, drinking a lot. He started going to the liquor stores and buying beer, which he never did that before. He did.
She made it clear to investigators that Michael was in a downward spiral. He was acting bizarrely.
According to Wendy, the Thursday before Mike disappeared, he had taken their son without her permission and vanished for an entire day.
And I kept calling his cell phone, he wouldn't answer. A few hours later, he calls me, and I said, "Where are you?" He goes, "I'm in Abilene." I said, "Why did you go to Abilene? Why didn't you tell me you were going? Please don't leave here without at least telling me."
That incident left her shaken. Investigators wonder what Wendy thinks could be triggering Mike's odd behavior.
He had also made little comments about how he hated his job, it was so boring, it was the same thing over and over.
Wendy told the police that Michael hated the Air Force and he did not want to be deployed. He did not want to go back to the war zone.
He was afraid that something bad was going to happen. And he kept saying it would be so easy just to go into Canada.
Wendy was talking desertion.
With her permission, investigators searched the couple's home, looking for any sign that the airman was getting ready to flee.
Nothing missing. Everything's here.
All of his things are here.
And Mike had left behind luggage and clothes that he had prepared for the trip. Basically, the only thing that he took were his pair of jeans, a shirt, boots, and a belt.
This is his wallet and cell phone.
He didn't go anywhere without his wallet, his phone, or his cowboy hat, and they were all still there.
This is that?
What's more, investigators don't see any sign of a struggle or foul play. But they begin to wonder if something else equally disturbing has happened.
Sometimes when people leave things behind, especially a cell phone or a wallet, or things of importance like that, you become concerned that perhaps they left and committed suicide.
Detectives wonder about Mike's mental state, but his family and friends say that Mike would never consider hurting himself.
He's too full of life for that. He was too excited from having the baby and getting to spend time with him, and he wouldn't have done anything like that.
The way we were brought up, the way we were raised, suicide isn't an option. There was no way, in my mind, that Michael committed suicide.
Although if Mike did kill himself, investigators assume he would have done it in a place where he could be easily found. So over the next week, the mystery only deepens as the detective's search comes up completely empty.
Motels were checked in the area, the local rental car agencies were checked, airlines were checked with negative results.
Mike hasn't used a credit card or taken any money out of the bank.
It became very concerning that there was no trace of Mike. There was no evidence to lead investigators to figure out what had happened to him.
Investigators are stumped, and his family is beginning to fear the worst.
But probably somewhere deep down, we figured either something's really, really bad or he's not with us anymore.
In the winter of 2005, detectives from the San Angelo, Texas Police Department are coming up empty-handed in their search for missing Staff Sergeant Mike Severance, a new local resident. And his friends and family are losing hope.
We were all worried, wanting to know where he was at, what happened to him, because it wasn't like him to just up and leave without saying something.
The last thing for investigators to check is Mike's cell phone history. But as they wait for the phone company to release the records, a strange thing happens. Life in San Angelo goes on as usual.
Because of the fact that he wasn't from there, a lot of people there in town probably didn't even realize that Mike was missing and that there was an investigation ongoing.
I think it would have been very different if he would have been a local, born and raised. Nobody knew his family. He had no roots. Nobody knew him in San Angelo.
8 days after he disappears, Mike's leave from the Air Force expires. When he fails to report for duty, Mike's officially declared absent without leave. Now deemed a criminal desertion, the case triggers a full-scale military investigation.
The Air Force is going to do what they need to do to try to find you. They're going to use every means possible.
The Air Force Office of Special Investigations, OSI, immediately forms a task force with the San Angelo Police Department, the Sheriff's Office, and the Texas Rangers. Leading the Air Force's effort to find the missing airman is Special Agent Arch Harner.
We immediately started considering all the possibilities. He could have been murdered, or he could have walked off the property and got injured, or, as Wendy had suggested, deserted the Air Force to avoid a deployment.
With more resources at their disposal than local law enforcement, the OSI is able to widen the search. They do a full-scale sweep of the area around Mike and new wife Wendy Mae Davidson's home and veterinary clinic.
They did an aerial search, they did a ground search, and they came up with nothing.
With no trace of Mike anywhere near his home, investigators begin looking for accomplices.
We had considered, as in most deserter cases or AWOL cases, that there would be some kind of connection between the deserter and his or her family members. Our theory was Wendy was in contact with him or knew of his whereabouts.
The Air Force brings in computer technicians to begin hunting for an electronic trail, checking Mike's email and search engines, and Wendy fully cooperates with their plan.
Can we take the hard drive?
Take whatever you need to find him.
At that time, we received consent from Wendy to mirror her hard drive so we could do a computer forensic search of that hard drive.
The analysis will take time to complete. So while they keep an eye on Wendy, investigators move on, turning to the other people close to Mike.
Do you think Mike is capable of desertion?
But when they ask his friends from the base if Mike might have deserted his post, they all have the same response.
There's absolutely no way Mike would do that.
That wasn't Mike. The guys that knew Mike knew he wasn't just going to take off and leave just to keep from deploying.
Mike's a solid guy.
It wasn't going to happen.
Experience tells investigators not to assume anything.
I never heard anything about that.
Just because they haven't said anything to any of their colleagues,
I would have heard something.
doesn't mean they don't intend to desert.
Are you sure about that?
People don't advertise that they're going to go AWOL, so we have to have an open mind about these kinds of matters.
What's interesting to investigators is what Mike has shared with his colleagues.
What do you know about his marriage?
I think they met at a bar back in Abilene.
Mike's friends tell them his marriage to Wendy didn't have what you would call a fairy tale beginning.
They found out that it was more of a, I wouldn't say a one-night stand, but more of a casual encounter.
You know, she got pregnant. You know, there wasn't a lot of time for them to get to know each other. You know, it was pretty quick.
It's not the most solid way to start a life together, but it's also not uncommon in military towns. A lot of guys on base start their families that way.
He told me that he was going to marry her, and I said, "Are you sure you want to do that, Mike?" And he told me that, you know, I want to try to do the right thing.
And I tried to talk him out of it and at least wait, get to know her a little bit, you know, make sure that's what you want to do.
The airman thought it was his duty, so Mike made a promise to Wendy and their future together.
That was his life, and he was going to live his life. You couldn't talk him out of doing things, hardly.
Hello, Mr.
The
Severance.
following day, investigators talked to Mike's family in Maine to ask them about the marriage.
The marriage is okay. They have had some issues.
What kind of issues?
The Severances claimed that although things had moved quickly between Mike and Wendy, if Mike had any complaints about his life in San Angelo, it was not with his wife,
He has had a hard time dealing with the family.
but his in-laws.
Mike is from Maine, and I think they would prefer a local boy.
Wendy's parents, it's no secret, they didn't care for Michael. You could tell there was a certain vibe that maybe Mike wasn't good enough for their daughter.
Thank you for your time.
They were very protective of their family.
If you're not from San Angelo, you're never from San Angelo. Mike was from Maine, and that was a big deal in this situation. He would have never been accepted as somebody that grew up there.
When investigators reach out to Mike's mother and father-in-law, they don't even try to hide their disdain for him.
It became apparent that there was some conflict there within the family. Mike's mother-in-law, in particular, was not a big fan of his.
Wendy's mother says that she resents Mike. He's lazy and does nothing to help Wendy around the clinic or at home.
Search the premises, take a look around.
They willingly consent to a search of their house and property.
The investigators, they want to make sure that he wouldn't be hidden out by Wendy's family or his friends or anyone. They couldn't leave any stone unturned, any lead had to be followed.
Once again, the search comes up empty. And 3 weeks into the investigation, the people closest to Mike realize that investigators are running out of places to look for him, compounding their frustration and worries that something awful has happened.
They were exhausting all possibilities. So it kind of hit that something's not right.
And I was like, something happened. It's not good. So I knew something was wrong.
It's nearly a month after Mike goes missing that investigators finally get a piece of evidence to work with. When Texas Ranger Major Sean Palmer receives Mike's subpoenaed cell phone records, he notices something suspicious.
3 days after Wendy filed her missing person report, somebody had tried to call Mike's phone late at night. One call was approximately 12:30 a.m., and the next call was maybe an hour later.
The phone calls are very short in duration. It's as if someone called and hung up. Major Palmer suspects that this might be some kind of signal.
It could be somebody that knew where he was or had helped him leave.
When investigators trace the calls, they connect to a woman from Hamlin, Texas, a small town roughly 2 hours from San Angelo.
We were determined to find out who this woman was and why she'd be calling Mike's cell phone late at night.
Could Mike be having an affair? Or perhaps this mystery woman's connection to the airman is even more devious than that. On February 8, 2005, nearly a month after Staff Sergeant Mike Severance goes missing, Texas Ranger Major Sean Palmer tracks down a woman who made suspicious calls to Mike's cell phone just 3 days after the airman disappeared.
Hello, this is Allison.
Once I learned that it was a female that was calling Mike's phone, it became important to find out what her relationship was with Mike.
I was cleaning out.
Over the phone, Allison McClay explains to Major Palmer that she had only dialed Mike's number in an attempt to solve her own mystery.
Yeah, it took me a while to figure out who it was.
She had seen a contact in her phone with the name of Mike, and she had called it trying to determine who that was. Okay.
Major Palmer finds the explanation a bit odd. But Allison insists that she only knows Mike through her ex-boyfriend, Jeff Holden. Allison says the two men know each other through their shared hobby of racing cars. Investigators have never heard of Jeff.
One of the possibilities that we were thinking about was the fact that this friend of Mike's may be hiding him.
Major Palmer and another officer head out to talk to Jeff in Hamlin, Texas, a small town 90 miles from San Angelo. He agrees to come into the local police station for an interview. Once there, Jeff tells investigators that he and Mike have known each other for 5 years.
How'd you know that he was missing? A friend called me and told me. I was shocked.
But he claims that he doesn't know anything about his disappearance.
You know, they was just asking questions of what kind of person was Mike, what did we do. They was serious.
When was the last time that you saw him?
Oh, it's been months. Ever since he got married, I haven't seen him much.
They would ask the same question like 5 or 6 different times. I guess they was wanting to see if my stories changed, or I just answered the questions and told them what I knew.
Now we take a look around your house.
After an hours-long interview, investigators ask if they can search Jeff's house, and he agrees.
They pulled up with the headlights shining just right there at the front door. I opened the door and I said, "Come on in."
Investigators search every room, finding no sign of Mike. Then, Jeff admits he has something else to tell them. It's about his friend's marriage.
Mike wasn't very happy.
What do you mean?
Although it looked like Mike and Wendy had a start of a great new life, this friend of Mike's did not think that it was a match made in heaven.
They were fighting a lot through their marriage.
Like how bad?
Mike had told him that things were rough and that he was unhappy and was considering getting out.
I would say they were definitely heading toward a split.
Bad enough for him to just run away.
Jeff insists never in a million years would Mike walk away from his child.
He wouldn't do that.
No, I knew something was fishy. I mean, he's not the kind just to run off. That's not Mike. I doubt very seriously Michael would ever abandon his son.
If Mike was actively trying to get out of the marriage, it's possible there was a custody dispute on the horizon.
I can't take this anymore. I'm sick and tired of doing everything by myself.
In their initial interview, Wendy told detectives she'd been distraught when Mike had disappeared for an entire day with the baby.
They got into an argument, and Mike took his son and drove to Abilene. Wendy kind of read him the riot act because he had taken the son without her permission.
Mike?
In light of this new information, investigators wonder if Mike's actions affected more than just Wendy.
Mike, where did you go? You took the baby.
Wendy was upset. Her mother was irate. And it was just an innocent trip. That was a big, big deal for the family.
No idea where they would have went.
Perhaps Wendy and her parents thought Mike's trip to Abilene was a dry run for something more deceitful. The baby's next trip was to meet his family in Maine, scheduled for the day Mike went missing.
I think that's what her parents were feeding her. He's going to go back to Maine and you're never going to see him again. I think Wendy believed Mike would take her son.
But with no sign of foul play, investigators know it's only a hunch. They have no choice but to continue to treat the case as a criminal desertion. Still, they take another hard look at Wendy.
They decided that they needed to track Wendy and see what that might lead them to.
Operating under federal guidelines for military cases, Air Force investigators begin monitoring both Wendy and her parents' movements, placing GPS trackers on their cars. When the information is analyzed, Wendy's parents' trackers show nothing unusual. But Special Agent Harner's team does find something that piques their interest on Wendy's.
We discovered that Wendy's car had traveled to a remote area on a nearby ranch.
In fact, Wendy has made the trip several times since Mike was reported missing.
The ranch property was away from the normal pattern that Wendy would take as far as visiting her family or the normal places she might go.
Investigators approach the rancher, a close friend of Wendy's family, and get consent to search his property. From the GPS, they're able to pinpoint the exact location where Wendy had gone.
We happened to stop at the area where we had seen that the car had stopped. A somewhat large stock pond with a dock. There was nothing odd about the stock pond.
And there's nothing else on the ranch that seems unusual either. But investigators are convinced that there's something more to Wendy's suspicious trips. Agents call her and casually ask about the property.
She indicated that she kept horses out there. The ranch was something they had access to and they enjoyed.
She said she hadn't been to the ranch in quite a while. We knew this wasn't true.
And it isn't long before investigators discover something else suspicious.
One of the steps that was taken early on was that the Air Force investigators imaged the computer that was in the clinic. They got results back about the same time that they had learned about Wendy going out to the ranch.
That computer forensic search uncovered that someone had searched for the phrase body decomposition in water.
This became very important because at the location of the ranch that Wendy had traveled to was a large pond. The information brought into light that there may be something more to this than just a missing person.
Major Palmer takes over the new lead. He decides to confront Wendy about the computer searches.
I wasn't expecting you.
I went to the clinic unannounced and attempted to interview her.
You have a minute?
Sure.
Caught her cold just to see how she would react.
Discovered an internet search on how a body decomposes in water.
Wendy brushes off his questions.
I can explain that.
She was very nonchalant in her answers and laughed, in fact.
I was imagining the worst case scenario.
Wendy indicated that she had queried the decomposition of a body in water because searches had been conducted around the area of the clinic, and there was a small creek out there. And so her explanation was that what happens if they find Mike in the creek?
Well, actually, we're thinking about searching another body of water.
When Major Palmer mentions to Wendy that they're going to conduct another search of the ranch, she has a strange reaction.
She became very quiet, and her demeanor changed quite a bit.
I have an appointment I'm going to right now, so we can talk about this later.
With that, Major Palmer knows they're on to something.
Be in touch.
He leaves Wendy at the clinic and calls Special Agent Harner, asking him to secure the property until they can gain access again.
We headed out towards the ranch. Our purpose was to make sure if there was evidence of the same, then no one could tamper with that evidence before it could be properly collected.
When he reaches the property, Special Agent Harner is stunned by who he finds there.
She was standing outside the car, trying to operate the lock on the gate. Wendy said to me, "What are you all doing out here?" I replied, "Wendy, what are you doing here?"
I have to feed my horses.
She said, "I'm going to go into the gate now." And I said, "Wendy, you're not going anywhere."
Wendy gets back in her car, and a short time later, she leaves. Special Agent Harner lets her go. He stays at the ranch gate, determined to guard it. A few hours later, San Angelo Police Department receives a strange phone call from Wendy's brother.
"I need someone to meet me at Grape Creek Cemetery. It's an emergency."
Intrigued by his odd request, detectives make their way to the old burial ground on the outskirts of town and find Wendy and her whole family are already there.
What's going on here?
As investigators try to make sense of the scene, Wendy's brother drops a bombshell.
"Have y'all searched the pond out at the ranch?"
No.
"You need to. Mike's body's in there."
Wendy had told her family that Mike Severance's body was in the pond.
I was trying to protect you!
And at some point, one of the investigators heard Wendy say, "I didn't kill him. Somebody else did, but I moved him."
On March 5th, 2005, 6 weeks after Airman Mike Severance mysteriously disappeared, investigators are stunned when they hear Wendy Davidson admit to moving her husband's body.
I found Mike dead at the clinic, but I didn't do it. I didn't kill him.
Wendy doesn't talk to investigators, but her brother tells them that on the day before they were supposed to leave for Maine, Wendy said she found him dead in the clinic.
She says she thought she was protecting her family.
And decided to hide his body.
She had thought one of them may have hurt him, and she had transported the body to that stock pond and dumped him there.
The following day, divers search for Mike.
A few hours after initiating the search of the pond, one of the dive team members was able to locate a body.
Left foot still got a cinder block on it.
That had been tied to a wheel and cinder blocks. A variety of things to weigh it down.
Those items were connected to the body with rope and monofilament line. Somebody spent a lot of time trying to make sure that nobody would find the body in the pond.
After removing the weights underwater, the divers bring the victim to shore. And investigators can see the aftermath of what must have been a brutal ordeal.
The medical examiner determined that there was 41 stab wounds to the body.
The coroner orders toxicology tests, and because of the condition of the body, it'll take some time before he can determine the cause of death. Although they'd suspected foul play, the reality of the discovery shatters Mike's family and friends.
I didn't want to see it coming, but I think somewhere deep down, after a little while, you start trying to prepare yourself for the grief, for the loss.
It affected the Air Force, especially here at Dias. I mean, we were all heartbroken and in disbelief that something, like that happened to somebody so close to us.
In the town of San Angelo, people are stunned.
Once that body was found and it went public, it was all people were talking about. And the community was just abuzz about this. I was like everybody else in San Angelo, horrified that this airman was murdered.
How could somebody do that? You hear stories like this happening, but you never think it will happen local. And then until it does. I just didn't ever see anybody doing that to Michael.
On March 7th, 2005, police arrest Wendy and charge her with evidence tampering for moving Mike's body. And once in custody, investigators again attempt to question her.
You told us earlier you didn't want to say anything. Is that...
I don't want to say anything.
We'll have some answers pretty soon. Speak to a lawyer first, I'm sure.
Well, she told you thing to do.
With Wendy pleading the fifth, investigators are left puzzled. Although she led them to her husband's remains, who killed him is still a mystery.
People couldn't put their heads around it. The rumor mills start, and people have different theories, and that she couldn't have done it, not our sweet Wendy.
The following day, investigators go back to Mike and Wendy's apartment and her animal clinic to conduct another search.
And one of the items that was located during that search were a couple of spools of monofilament line, similar to what we had seen attached to the body.
Detectives then search Wendy's parents' home. They find nothing there to connect them to any crime. But the investigation takes another dramatic turn when a week after Mike's body is discovered, with Wendy sitting in jail, her parents file for custody of Wendy and Mike's baby boy. 2 days later, Mike's parents do the same, launching an ugly legal fight.
Michael's family wanted to protect Michael's child. Wendy said she thought somebody in her family did it, and it was all, at that point, very unclear as to what happened.
During the proceedings, Wendy's parents' mistrust of the Severance family becomes clear. They're reluctant to even let Mike's brother and his father, Leslie, spend time alone with the boy.
We don't trust them. We think they'll run back to Maine. They finally agreed on a meeting in a public place, and Les and Frank were able to visit with the child.
Wendy's parents are eventually awarded custodial rights to Mike and Wendy's son. Then, 4 months after Mike's body is pulled out of the pond, investigators find the final piece of the puzzle. And what happened to the former airman is more shocking than anyone imagined.
I didn't know what to think. How can someone do that? He was put down inhumanely like a animal.
Turns out the killer got careless, and the cops just found the trail of clues. On July 2nd, 2005, 4 months after Mike Severance's body is found, the San Angelo, Texas Coroner's Office releases the final autopsy report.
The medical examiner determined that the stab wounds were post-mortem.
Someone had stabbed Mike 41 times after he was dead, probably in an attempt to make sure his body stayed at the bottom of the pond.
But one of the things that happens is that gases build up inside the body, and that's what causes the body to rise to the surface. So it appeared that the stab wounds may have been done to prevent that from happening.
It's the same information that his wife, Wendy Davidson, had been researching on her computer. From the toxicology tests, the medical examiner has also determined a cause of death.
They had identified high levels of phenobarbital and pentobarbital inside Mike's body.
The drugs that they discovered in Michael were the exact same drugs that a veterinarian would use to euthanize an animal.
And we knew there was one place where those drugs would be kept and where we had seen them.
Investigators head back to Wendy's clinic, convinced they've got the key to the crime and the means for catching Mike's killer.
So those drugs were seized, and also records of how those drugs were dispensed to animals.
When investigators compare the records against Wendy's patient files, they quickly discover that one is missing.
One of the files that we were searching for was for an animal, a dog, that had been administered phenobarbital. And then we found the folder in the trash.
The dog's name is Wheezy, and in his discarded file folder, a log entry written in blue ink indicates that no medication was administered to him. But someone had crossed that information out.
And then it was written in black that the dog had been administered phenobarbital and Valium. The treatment record for the dog had been altered.
Wendy's altered records show that Wheezy had been given a very large dose of phenobarbital.
Let's contact them.
Investigators are certain that Wendy gave Mike the drug instead. They have their killer. Putting all the pieces of evidence together, they develop a timeline of the murder.
It seemed that the night that Wendy and Mike went out, he was most likely poisoned.
With their baby away at the sitters, investigators believe Wendy dropped tablets of pentobarbital into something Mike drank, knocking him out. Then, she took a syringe and gave her husband a fatal dose of phenobarbital. Wendy then dragged Mike's body to his pickup and drove to the ranch to dump him in the pond.
And at some point thereafter, learned about what would happen to that body and went out there and added additional items to weight him down and stabbed the body to release the pressure of the gas.
On September 22, 2005, Wendy Mae Davidson is charged with first-degree murder for killing her husband, Staff Sergeant Michael Severance.
Wendy told everyone that Mike deserted, and that was her error.
Same thing over and over. He didn't want to be deployed.
That backfired. It drew suspicion to her. It drew suspicion to the situation.
As Wendy's case moves toward trial, she continues to stick to her claim that she didn't kill her husband. But in October 2006, after realizing that the evidence was enough to convict her, Wendy waives her right to a trial.
And they allowed her to plead no contest, which is not admitting guilt. But the judge was very clear, said if you plead no contest, I'm still going to find you guilty of this crime.
Wendy Mae Davidson is sentenced to 25 years in a Texas state prison. She's up for parole in 2019. Her parents and her brother are never charged with any crime. In Maine, Mike's family still tries to make sense of the tragedy.
We lost a son, a brother, and in our eyes, a hero. I always joked he was my Superman. He was the one that I leaned on when I needed somebody to talk to. Now I don't have that.
She took a loving man, a loving father, and a good friend to a lot of guys. She took that away from us.
On school breaks, Mike's son is allowed to visit his family in Maine.
Gets to go up there and spend time. And that side of the family is letting his son know what kind of dad he doesn't have.
I wish Mike was here to see his child grow. He's a spitting image. I see a lot of his dad in him. I love my nephew. I just hope someday when he's older, we can be as close as me and his dad was.
In San Angelo, with one of their own now behind bars for a calculated and shocking murder, the community is still stunned. A tiny piece of that local Texas pride has been tarnished forever.
She was the local girl. It was a real difficult issue to deal with and to try to understand and grapple with. So it was just a huge event in the life of a community.
It's crazy, it's scary when somebody does something like that. One minute you have your good friend and then this blink of the eye is gone.
When college freshman Katherine Foster goes missing, students at University of South Alabama fear a boogeyman's on campus.
How could somebody just evaporate from a campus with thousands of others around her?
Was she being held against her will?
Let me out of here, please.
Being raped?
Why are you doing this?
Had she been killed?
And when their worst nightmare comes true,
This is not supposed to happen on our college campus.
it triggers one of the longest manhunts in Mobile history.
That case still haunts detectives within the Mobile Police Department.
That's terror, real terror.
How well do you know your neighbors? What lies behind the white picket fences? Located deep in the South, right on the Gulf Coast, is the port city of Mobile, Alabama.
Mobile is a very dynamic city. It's full of tradition, full of history. Contrary to a lot of beliefs, Mobile is the mother of Mardi Gras.
You've got Southern oaks, dripping Spanish moss, and these gracious old homes that are antebellum.
It's a small city with a big heart, and bursting at the seams with Southern hospitality.
People know each other, they often have for generations. They feel very strongly and passionately about their community. It's just a city with a lot of culture, a lot of soul.
Nestling safely in the heart of Mobile is the University of South Alabama, South as it's called by the student body.
It's very much kind of a bubble. You've got pathways. It's very much the kind of campus where you see kids walking, you see them riding bikes. It's a relaxed place where people talk, they stop, spend time together. It has that really warm feel where people know each other.
I was manager of security. My two children attended school there. I would consider it to be relatively safe compared to other campuses.
South's warm, vibrant campus is just the place for 18-year-old Katherine Foster. And when she enrolls in 1979, the smart young freshman shines brightly among the campus community.
I would say that Katherine certainly could be considered the all-American girl.
She was always described as a kind, wonderful girl that everyone absolutely loved. She was salutatorian of her class. She was from a big Catholic family. A very kind of sweet Southern girl.
This ambitious, caring girl is also very proud of her roots, choosing South for its close proximity to family and friends.
Katherine's hometown was in Pascagoula, Mississippi, just right over the state line. It's not that far from Mobile.
She was able to travel back and forth to visit.
Best of all, her high school sweetheart, Jake Donovan, is a star soccer player at the university.
He also seemed to have everything going for him. He's on a soccer scholarship.
Everybody that knew Katherine and Jake understood it was just a young budding love. It was the two kids that were in love that saw an entire future together.
And college life keeps getting better when Katherine's best friend from home, Susie Shanahan, joins her in the freshman class.
Really? Oh my God, I moved in, but whoa.
Susie had been her friend forever and ever, since elementary school. They had been tight. Just kind of made sense they'd go to college together, too.
What's up, lady?
On day one, Susie and Katherine meet Jamie Kellum. The three discover they have more than just the university in common.
You're from Pascagoula, aren't you?
Katherine and Susie actually met Jamie while standing in line at registration, and in that conversation learned they were all from Pascagoula. And so naturally, they did start to hang out together.
Okay.
They were going shopping. Mobile had a new mall. About that time, it was a big deal. You had Mardi Gras. I'm sure going to watch Jake. I'm sure they were at those games. They just became the Three Musketeers, did everything together.
The three girls seem to have it all, with nothing but a bright and prosperous future ahead. On Thursday afternoon, February 21st, 1980, the friends plan one of their regular outings to go shopping together in downtown Mobile.
The plan was to meet in the parking lot near Jamie's car.
And then they were going to go to the grocery store as soon as Susie got out of class.
Hey, Jamie.
But when Susie arrives, Jamie is all alone.
She said she forgot something, but I think we both know where she is.
Jake.
Well, I've been waiting for 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
The two girls decide to leave without her.
Let's just go.
After all, the two lovebirds, Katherine and Jake, are always running off together. Later that day, Katherine is a no-show for her 2 p.m. class with Susie. It's not like her to skip a class.
Anybody seen Katherine?
If anyone knows where she is, it's Jake.
Jake, where's Katherine?
Some of her friends found him in the library, hoping to find her with him,
She didn't show up for class?
only to discover that he hadn't seen her and was not even aware that she was missing.
Who's she been hanging out with?
When Jake storms off, Susie wonders if the two are still fighting about something that happened a few days earlier.
It was learned that Jake and Katherine had had a disagreement over an event that had occurred at Mardi Gras. Apparently, Jake had been caught kissing another female, and this had caused an argument between the two.
Why would you do this to me?
What do you mean? It was just a kiss.
You just embarrassed me in front of everyone. I can't do this right now. I'm done.
Katherine, come on.
By 6 p.m. that night, Katherine is still missing. Her friends' concern for her is now sky high,
Jake, we'll find her, okay?
and Susie feels compelled to notify Katherine's family.
Susie, being the longtime friend, picks up the phone and makes that phone call to Katherine's mother.
This was so out of character for Katherine to go missing without telling anybody where she is.
Katherine disappeared and I don't know where she's at.
It immediately set off alarm bells with the family, who immediately got in a car and drove to the university.
Campus security is already on top of the situation.
We obtained a photograph of Katherine that showed all the campus officers and instructed them to be on the lookout.
Once they reach Mobile, the Fosters try to file a police report. But there's a problem.
Because Katherine was 18 years old and considered an adult, they could not report her missing for 24 hours.
There could have been some students, I imagine, that might not have been that alarming for them to kind of disappear, but not Katherine.
I met with her mother and her roommates and close friends, and I was convinced that a disappearance of that nature and not checking in was out of character.
As every hour went on, especially a whole nother day, their fears had to grow worse.
By Friday, February 22nd, 24 hours later, the Fosters file a missing persons report. Police officially join the search.
A young college co-ed disappears from the University of South Alabama campus. Anyone with information about Katherine Foster's disappearance is urged to contact police as soon as possible.
The alarming news of the co-ed's disappearance rattles the university.
It became frantic around campus. There was a missing 18-year-old female student that doesn't run off. For her to just all of a sudden vanish without anyone seeing her, it caused alarm throughout the entire campus.
Their minds really go toward just boogeyman out of the darkness, something that unknown, but that's terror.
As Mobile police begin the search, the student body also takes action, with Katherine's closest friends leading the way.
We're looking for our friend Katherine. Have you seen her? Okay, you know her because she's super popular.
Jamie, Susie, and several other students, they've created flyers. They're putting them all over the campus. Other students are joining. They're going from building to building again, just looking for Katherine.
As they try to stay positive, her parents struggle for answers.
Your mind would just have to go everywhere. You have nothing to lead you in any direction. That had to be most frightening of all because it leaves all options on the table. They had to have been terrified.
Do not touch anything.
By Saturday morning, nearly 2 days since her disappearance,
Guys, let's go.
a student search party bands together to continue looking.
Katherine!
Katherine's friends and family won't rest until they find her. But no one's prepared for what they're about to see. In February 1980, the disappearance of popular freshman Katherine Foster has the University of South Alabama's student body frantically searching. She's been missing for nearly 48 hours, when someone among the scores of students combing the campus spots something in the woods.
Surprisingly not far from where her dorm was, some students find what they think is a student just taking a nap.
I was fairly close by, and I was close enough to go on foot. And I did run, and I confirmed, the worst fear. That was Katherine's body.
In an instant, the air of dread that has been looming overhead turns to full-on horror.
Nothing like this had ever happened to the university that drove this type of fear throughout the campus. With the discovery of Katherine's body, that sense of security from the students' perspective of safety was shattered.
One of the first investigators to arrive on scene is Wilbur Williams, a sergeant with the City of Mobile Police Department.
I was a young officer eager to do my job, and I was an alum of South Alabama, so it hit home there.
The stunned students watch as their campus becomes a brutal crime scene. As they begin examining the scene, a strange picture takes shape.
There was absolutely no signs of a struggle near or around Katherine's body. There was no drag marks to indicate that somebody had killed her somewhere else. There was absolutely no sign of any type of sexual assault. There was no indication there had been any altercation whatsoever.
Stranger still is the condition of Katherine's body.
Her clothes were neatly positioned on her body. It appeared that she was recently made up. She just did not look like she had been lying out in the woods for several days.
The cause of death raises questions too. Katherine's been shot twice at close range.
The medical examiner was able to determine that Katherine had suffered a gunshot wound in the back of her head.
The second gunshot wound was a near contact wound to the right temple to make sure she was dead.
Judging from the evidence, it appears Katherine went willingly.
Her body did not exhibit any signs of constraint. She had not been handcuffed. There was no indications of ligatures. There were no indication of restrictions to her body. The commonality of thought was that she knew her assailant, or possibly she had left with some type of authority figure, someone that she trusted.
Due to the pristine condition of her body, the medical examiner sets the time of death at 8 to 24 hours before Katherine's body is discovered. But she's been missing nearly 48 hours.
That still left us with a 24-hour block of time that we could not explain. And that was the biggest issue. Where was Katherine kept during that period of time?
Did someone abduct her, take her away, kill her, and bring her back and stage her?
Overcome with sorrow, Katherine's parents return home to Pascagoula.
I don't know that there are words that can describe the kind of grief parents would feel when they think their child's off safely to college, and then to hear the word first that she's missing, and then to fear the worst, and then have that confirmed for you that your child is now deceased.
Katherine's body is finally found in a wooded area near the Molecular Science Building. She's been shot twice in the head.
Meanwhile, the news of Katherine's murder haunts the campus.
The investigation is still preliminary. Anyone with information is urged to contact police.
The student body was in a state of panic. There was fear that spread throughout that campus, especially with the young women that lived on the campus. Many people left the campus because of their fear.
As students try to come to grips with the tragedy, police get to work. Detectives question Susie Shanahan and Jamie Kellum, the two friends who were supposed to meet Katherine the morning she disappeared.
Susie, you're saying you're friends with Katherine?
Susie was very emotional. Her best friend on this earth had been killed, was dead, wasn't coming back.
Susie tells police that she was supposed to meet her friend after class, but Katherine never showed up.
Walk me through that Thursday.
Jamie explains that as she and Katherine were walking out together,
Oh my gosh, I totally just forgot my purse inside. Okay, I'll meet you at the car.
Katherine went back at the last moment.
Their idea is, well, she just changed her mind to go spend time with Jake. They're very, very emotional. They're sobbing and crying.
Both girls have solid alibis for their whereabouts during the 2 days Katherine was missing. They were either together or with others looking for Katherine.
It was very frustrating to try to work through the friends and to determine if there was any indication that any of them could possibly be involved in it.
The girls recommend investigators check in with Jake, Katherine's sweetheart. It's a strong bet he'll know something. But before detectives can get to him, they get their first big lead. A student comes forward believing she may have witnessed Katherine's murder. It's been 24 hours since University of South Alabama freshman Katherine Foster was found dead on campus. As a shocked student body tries to come to terms with the horrifying news, Mobile police are out desperately searching for clues.
They have far more questions than they have answers. So anybody and everybody is included in the investigation at this point.
2160.
One particular lead has investigators eager to speak with a student who believes she can help.
There was a female student on the campus that lived in one of the dorms that suffered from a severe asthma condition. Saturday morning at approximately 2:30ish, she suffered an attack.
She ran to the window to get some fresh air. She heard a couple of pops.
She hears a couple of firecrackers or two noises. She didn't think a whole lot about it at the time, and she went back to bed. Later, upon learning that Katherine had been killed on campus, she then came forward and provided that information.
Like, bang, bang. Like,
She wonders, were those gunshots, was that connected?
It's possible the student could be mistaken.
What's going on?
But 2 campus security guards later report the gunshots too.
Did you hear that?
At first, they thought it was students setting off fireworks for Mardi Gras. Once learning of Katherine's murder, they too reconsider.
This information was important because, first of all, it established 2 sounds that corresponded to the number of gunshots that we knew Katherine had suffered. We also knew the time fit into the timeline that the medical examiner had established, 8 to 24 hours.
2:30 in the morning would mean 8 to 9 hours before Katherine's body was discovered.
It becomes very plausible that the time of death was about 2:30 a.m. Saturday, and that time stamps the investigation from then on.
Hey, Jake, you got a second?
Armed with this new information, investigators zero in on the person closest to Katherine, boyfriend Jake Donovan.
Question for you. Come on, Katherine, it was just a kiss.
They want to confirm Jake's alibi for early Saturday morning,
Katherine, come on.
especially in light of the couple's recent argument.
You know, you look as close as you can. And him being the boyfriend, the events that had happened at Mardi Gras, yeah, that was probably leaning a little toward Jake.
Jake appears cooperative and willingly offers details of his whereabouts on Thursday and Friday.
Jake was able to provide us with information of classes that he attended, people that he had talked to, places where he was.
But when asked where he was when the alleged gunshots were heard,
Jake was unable to provide us with a rock-solid alibi for 2:30 Saturday morning, other than he was in his room asleep, getting ready to get up the next morning and participate in the search party for Katherine on campus.
to prove he's telling the truth, Jake agrees to take a polygraph test.
Jake failed the polygraph test miserably.
But with nothing more concrete to go on, Jake is allowed to go free. And in his gut, Sergeant Williams doesn't believe he did it.
Jake was an emotional wreck. I think because of his emotional attachment to Katherine, those results of the test were affected. I truly believe that he was honest, that he was in love with Katherine. We did follow up, but as everything started to unfold, the possibility of him being involved started to diminish each and every day.
Convinced that Jake, Susie, and Jamie were not involved in the murder, Mobile police start looking beyond Katherine's inner circle. Two days after her body is found, the funeral mass for Katherine is held at her hometown church in Pascagoula, Mississippi.
It was a huge event because so many people knew Katherine. Her reputation in the community and her church was exceptional. It was a very emotional service.
Katherine's closest friends travel from campus to grieve their beloved friend.
Here are these three friends sitting there. You've got Jake, Susie, and Jamie. It had to have been just very overwhelming, their feelings, because they were the last to see her alive.
Try as they might, No one can fathom what Katherine's parents are thinking.
The end of the world would be the death of a child. Just don't know how you would get over that.
That child will forever be 18 years old in their mind. And then they have lost her.
Back on campus, fear turns to frustration.
And because there was no arrest by the police, that person, in the minds of the students there, was still walking among them at the campus.
Even for police, the murder is especially troubling. Finding Katherine's killer takes on renewed urgency. Sergeant Williams can't help but take her case personally.
It was an offense to me because I attended South Alabama. I took that as a personal insult, so there was a tremendous amount of pressure from every direction.
Over the next few weeks, investigators fan out, following up on every lead.
Investigators have talked to hundreds of people. They've cast a wide net.
As they began to look into the backgrounds of different people on the campus, they began to focus on a maintenance worker.
That would have given him access to the entire campus. The maintenance worker could have been assumed as a person of authority if he had approached Katherine.
It's just the break detectives have been waiting for.
We were excited because we felt after the number of weeks that we'd been working on it, he was certainly one of the brighter suspects, if you will, person of interest.
And as it turns out, the maintenance worker has a criminal record, which includes attempted assault. And there's more.
Not only was his victim a South Alabama student, but she looked strangely a lot like Katherine.
After several weeks of nothing but obstacles in the search to find Katherine Foster's killer, police believe they've found their man. They've discovered that a university maintenance worker, Ronnie Willis, has a criminal past involving another female student at the University of South Alabama.
The case he was involved in was an attempted rape and assault with a deadly weapon.
Several months prior, Willis offered a ride to a South co-ed.
Hey, you want to ride? Yeah. Get in.
The young lady that he had picked up and had given a ride did in fact resemble Katherine Foster.
He abducted and attempted a sexual assault. That student resisted and broke away and ran, and he shot that particular student in the leg.
The story seems too good to be true. Willis has the perfect profile for Katherine's killer, but as it turns out, he also has the perfect alibi.
He was able to alibi through time cards and witnesses that he was in a different area of the university at the time that Katherine Foster would have went missing.
It's a big letdown, and Ronnie is cleared of all charges.
The roller coaster ride of any investigation is the ups and the downs. It was one of those high moments, and of course it didn't take long for it to evaporate.
With no new information coming in, the case stalls. Years go by, but detectives refuse to slow down their efforts.
This file remained in our office, and there was very seldom a week or 3 or 4 days that went by that we didn't discuss it.
Then, on February 22nd, 1983, almost 3 years to the day that Katherine's body was found, investigators get a flash of hope.
We received a call of a possible suicide. When we arrived on the scene, we determined that the victim of the suicide was in fact a former security guard at the University of South Alabama. He had succumbed to an overdose of sleeping pills.
Turns out it's not just any security guard either. It's Louis Shea, one of the security guards who heard the mysterious gunshots the night of Katherine's murder. And what police find in Louis's home sets off alarm bells.
A lot of people described it as a shrine for Katherine Foster.
One of the first items that caught my attention was a copy of the autopsy He had gone through and had made notations in the margins and had marked things that were very particular. The time of death, the 2 gunshots to the head. He had written poems. He had written several letters to the editors of the campus newspaper.
Investigators are stunned, but nothing compares to what they uncover next.
In the area above the garage, there was a makeshift cage out of chicken wire that was made to be able to lock it. It was large enough to actually contain a person.
Inside that enclosure was a mattress. There was some sheets. There was a pillow. Immediately, the old ticker speeds up, and we believe we have found where Katherine Foster spent her last few days of life.
At that moment, everyone in the room begins to wonder, could Louis Shea have killed Katherine?
Someone help, please.
If you go back to the theory that Katherine had been abducted and then kept without ligatures, which meant that she would have been kept in a room of some sort, then this really fit.
He was an authority figure. She would have been comfortable leaving with him. He would have been able to walk up to Katherine and says, "Come with me, we've got to go."
But after years on the case, Sergeant Williams is not so quick to assume. When he does some more digging, he discovers a big problem with their Louis Shea theory. It's impossible for the ex-security guard to have been in 2 places at the same time.
He was with a fellow officer at the exact time that we thought the death shots were fired.
There's also a problem with the time frame. The medical examiner claims Katherine may have been missing more than 24 hours before her murder. There are other holes in the theory, too.
If somebody had access to this young woman for 24 to 36 hours, why was she never sexually assaulted? Louis Shea was not the killer, even though I think on the surface he made a very good one.
The one fact police can't shake from their minds is the ghoulish scene above the garage. What on earth was Louis doing with that cage?
The cage in the garage was actually constructed to restrain his grandfather, who suffered from dementia. They literally locked Grandpa in the cage to keep him from roaming the neighborhood.
On campus, in the minds of the new student body, Katherine's murder begins to fade from reality into urban legend.
You had generations of students come and go. So those that would have been there and remembered the panic and the sadness of her death, they were gone.
More than a decade passes, and the cold case slips into a deep freeze. Still, investigators never give up, hoping someday they'll have a thaw in the investigation.
We'd lived this case for so long that every day we expected something to happen. New investigators came in. There was continuous follow-up on it, but nothing new surfaced during that period of time.
Until 22 years after Katherine's murder. Mike Morgan is the sergeant in charge of the Mobile Police Department's homicide unit. The Foster case became legend before he ever joined the force.
I first heard about Katherine Foster's case while I was a student at the University of South Alabama. It was a huge case file for an unsolved case.
On the morning of December 4th, 2002, Morgan receives a phone call that revives the case.
Hi, it's Mike Morgan.
And thrusts him into the spotlight.
I knew that I needed to go and speak to this gentleman very, very quickly.
If what he says is true, the man on the phone could hold the key to the crime.
We were going to be able to solve a very old murder case.
It's December 4th, 2002, and Mobile PD Sergeant Mike Morgan has just received a phone call that has blown open the 22-year-old murder investigation of Katherine Foster. He's on his way to Pascagoula, Mississippi, Katherine's hometown, to meet with a mysterious informant named Bobby Wicker.
When I first met with Bobby Wicker, he explained to me that he was in a local AA group there in Pascagoula, and he had information about an unsolved murder in Mobile that occurred on the campus of South Alabama in 1980.
A woman in the group came to Bobby with a deep secret.
One night during one of their meetings, she then confided in him that she had killed Katherine while attending the University of South Alabama in Mobile years earlier.
To help ease her conscience, Bobby suggested she follow one of the key steps of the AA program.
Part of the 12-step process is to right a wrong that you've done to somebody. Came up with this idea of writing down the apology and reading it at the cemetery over the grave of Katherine Foster.
Come to you, the girl of your life. I don't know where to begin.
Bobby tells Morgan how the girl lured Katherine into the woods, asking for help to find plants for a botany class. She made sure Katherine led the way, while plotting her next move.
She removed a .22 caliber handgun that she had stolen from her grandmother, and she shot Katherine right in the back of the head.
Bobby divulges the girl's name, Jamie Letson. Morgan knows there's no one named Letson in Katherine's case file. Could Jamie Letson be Jamie Kellum, Katherine's good friend from college? Bobby then drops another bombshell, telling Morgan that Jamie killed Katherine the day she went missing. And after making sure she was dead, Jamie disposed of the gun in a dumpster before rushing to the parking lot to meet Susie Shanahan.
Jamie gets to the car and meets Susie and says, oh, changing plans. Katherine just wanted to go hang out with Jake.
It all seems too fantastic for Sergeant Morgan to believe. Reluctant to buy Bobby's story, he reviews the case files and runs a background check on Jamie.
As it turns out, Jamie had been married and divorced, and her husband's last name was Letson. We discovered that she had been arrested multiple times years earlier, mainly for theft.
If Bobby's account is true, it shakes up the original timeline. Records show that Jamie had an airtight alibi for the estimated time of the murder, when the alleged gunshots were heard. On early Saturday morning, she was spending the night at a friend's.
Even though you had the confession, we had this rock-solid alibi that we had to deal with.
If Jamie was telling the truth, time of death became an issue.
We had a missing piece that was so important in order to make the rest of the puzzle fit together.
To verify the confession Jamie gave Bobby, Morgan calls the original medical examiner who worked on the case.
The first words out of his mouth is that it is very possible that he had made a mistake on the time of death.
The medical examiner explains that the February temperatures and the shaded area where Katherine was found helped preserve her body, which would explain the lack of decomposition. That opens the window of time surrounding Katherine's murder from 24 to 48 hours, which lines up with Bobby's story.
Once it was determined that the time of death now could be up to 48 hours, Jamie's alibi was completely gone.
But what about the gunshots heard early Saturday morning? If Katherine was killed the day before, what accounts for them?
The security guard and that student both reported fireworks or firecrackers. After her body was discovered, all of a sudden it became, well, they were probably gunshots. And so when you turn fireworks into gunshots, that got the course of the investigation on the wrong path right off the bat.
The only way to confirm if Bobby is telling them the truth is to get their hands on Jamie's confession letter. And when Sergeant Morgan starts asking around, he hears that her stepfather may have a copy.
When I first learned that Jamie's stepfather had actually seen a letter that Jamie had written, I immediately wanted to go speak to him. His response was, "You mean the letter?" Obviously, I was very intrigued, and I'm like, "Yes, the letter." So he goes, "I tell you what, I'll let you read it. He said, come with me. And he had a locker. He unlocked it, and sure enough, in there is this letter that Jamie had written to Katherine. The letter began, Dear Katherine, after all these years, I've come
to you. It's me, Jamie, the girl who took your life.
The motive in this case was pure jealousy. Jamie Kellum Letson had been in love with Jake, the boyfriend of Katherine Foster. She felt like if Katherine wasn't in the way, she may actually have a chance with Jake.
Katherine, come on.
The hairs on the back of your neck, the tingling sensation that after all of those years, and it came down to that first sentence in that letter.
Nearly 30 years have passed when on November 21st, 2008, Jamie Letson is finally arrested for Katherine's murder.
It was a great day. It was very, very satisfying when we actually got to her and put handcuffs on her.
I was present when Jamie gave her confession. It seemed to be something that she wanted to get off her chest, probably had for a long time.
I know y'all must think I'm a terrible, terrible person.
Jamie explains in chilling detail how she pulled the trigger on her best friend. Somehow, Katherine was able to turn and look at Jamie, staring into her friend's eyes as her life was ending.
In Jamie's own words, Jamie described that Katherine had this shocked look on her face.
Something in her head.
Jamie described all she heard was this loud roar in her own head and knew that she had to get out of there. And that's when she shot her the second time and then fled.
She does admit that the second shot was to kill her, that she didn't die after the first shot.
When news gets out, no one can believe the shocking truth, especially Katherine Foster's parents.
Jamie was there at the funeral. Miss Foster had a very, very difficult time believing that this woman that came over and grieved with them could actually be responsible for Katherine's murder.
In the end, Jamie is simply a cold, calculating killer.
And the reality is, there was just this girl that was staying in the dorm right next door, just wanted her boyfriend. And at the end of the day, it just became, I want something that you have, and I'm gonna kill you to get it.
At trial, in one final twist, Jamie pleads not guilty, even though she's already confessed to her crime.
The defense's main theory was that Louis Shea, the security guard, was the one that had actually killed Katherine.
The jury isn't buying it. Louis Shea is completely cleared of any involvement. On May 27, 2010, Jamie Kellum Letson is found guilty of murder in the first degree. She is sentenced to life in prison.
The bottom line is that justice was finally served. It took 30 years. I wish it hadn't, but it did.
In my career, in my life, this is a significant event. Probably the most serious crime I've ever been involved in. I was responsible for the safety of that campus and those students. Yeah.
Because it was such an old case, when we finally reopened this investigation and it sought an arrest warrant, it was a bit of a shock. The university campus can be a place that is certainly safe, but it was destroyed by this one act of violence.
Nobody could have dreamed something like this in a community like Mobile on a campus like South Alabama to a lovely young girl like Katherine.
I hope the Foster family has closure. That term is thrown out a lot. The reality is, their daughter was still murdered, but I hope that they at least have peace that there was finally an answer that they did not have for so many years.